My name is Rockosder.
My name is Ganghee.
Hello to all the fans. I know you missed me.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
If whoever liked his last video, shout out to you.
Shout out to our top comment with 1,000 likes by Jeff. Saying that he really loves our channel.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Anyways, today we're going to be talking about, I don't know, can I be seen in there?
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah. The iPad is blocking my view.
I see. Yeah, you're there.
Alright, whatever. Well, it is what it is at this point. We're filming now. Let's hope there's a good shot of me.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about scheduling and time management and goal setting.
And basically the importance of, this is to success in work or school, studying in general, or just living
Productively.
Yeah, productive life. Alright. Maybe good.
Okay. One piece of advice that I have is using a calendar, because calendars can give you scheduled reminders so you don't forget things you need to do.
Exactly. You need to know when everything is I mean, you counting on yourself to remember.
Just try to look at the camera. Don't look at the ground. Try not to use filler words.
Counting on yourself to remember.
Don't say or
I knew you'd say that.
Try not to. At least.
So.
Pausing is better than saying or
Dude, you're wasting time.
You say or when you're nervous. It doesn't matter. It's fine. This is just practice. This video is not gonna go viral anyways.
What? Crazy.
Oh, a little bad. It's fine. This is unfiltered content, you know.
Yeah,
the people are tired
of we tell it to them like it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't censor anything.
The people are tired of the scripted, edited, Hollywood type content, corporate content out here on YouTube. So
we're giving them the real stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, continue what you're saying.
Calendar's important calendar's important so you can know when things are, and you can't rely on yourself to just remember everything. So, going back to the calendar, checking when things are due. Make sure you never lose sight of certain things, because, you're undoubtedly going to forget stuff. I remember just this sophomore year, I don't know if we're supposed to be talking from personal experience.
You can talk
on this podcast.
You can say whatever.
Ooh, wow. I feel so free on this podcast.
Okay, so you're talking about calendars.
Yeah, it's very important. And yeah, that's all. I shouldn't get off on tangents.
Okay, so calendars are important so you don't forget stuff. Another piece of advice I have is setting goals, because goals can help you positively reinforce behaviors and can give you tangible actions to work towards, or tangible things to do.
What motivates you to achieve your goals though? Like you can set goals.
The goal should be something you care about and want to achieve. Therefore you will have motivation, hopefully. But when you do set goals, you shouldn't be arrogant. So, for example, let's say you got all C's last semester. It's arrogant to think you can get all A's the next semester. If anything, you might be driven by a desire to compensate for your poor performance last year. But realistically, a better goal should be something like getting all C pluses. Actually, why even focus on the grade? You should really be focusing on the amount of work and effort you're putting in. Because focusing on a grade is focusing on something you can't control. You can't control the grade. You can only control how much effort you put into the class. So here, I'm changing my example. But you still shouldn't be arrogant when you set your goals. But your goals should always be action. So your goal should be, I'm going to do 1 hour of work every day, for example. That's an actionable goal. Getting an A in a class is not an actionable goal. You don't control that. Doing an hour of work every day is something you control, and that should be a goal, and you should reward yourself, and you should feel good when you accomplish actionable goals. But you shouldn't be arrogant. So, for example, let's say last week, all I did was watch YouTube Shorts and didn't do any productive work. Then my goal
just a hypothetical.
Yes, just hypothetical. And my goal for next week should not be do 6 hours. I shouldn't have a rigorous schedule of 6 hours of work every day. I mean, if I'm able to do that, that's good, but that should not be the goal. That's an arrogant goal to set. And having slow, consistent progress with realistic goals is better than trying to do something that is unrealistic and then failing and not making any progress.
It's important to realize any progress is progress. So I can name a number of times last year where I would be like, I didn't do any reading today, or I didn't do any work today, so tomorrow I'm going to do like 10 hours of reading so I can like finish all of it. But it was probably unhealthy to think that way. I should think like,
yeah, you gotta be realistic. Like, what makes you think if you couldn't get any work done today that you're gonna be able to do 10 hours tomorrow?
Yeah. So just like start small, and like if you only did like 30 minutes, well, it's like, hey, you did nothing yesterday. 30 minutes is still like, it's more. So something definitely like, I think you should be proud of yourself each time you do it, and then just like ramp up. It's probably important. So also you get used to the habit, too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you gotta be consistent, because you can build habits, and habits make it easier to act consistently.
Yeah.
It's like brushing your teeth. If you make it a habit, it's not difficult. You don't have to exert a bunch of effort to brush your teeth. Yeah. I mean, if it's not a habit, then you do, but that's the point. That's the point. That's the point of making it a habit.
Yeah. But do you have storage for all these videos?
Yes, I do.
Crazy.
I can delete it if... once I post it on YouTube, I can delete it.
Okay, 15 minutes is crazy.
I mean, I film that on my computer.
Oh, okay. I see.
Anyways.
What was our next talking point?
Well, I just thought of something else, but are you done with what you wanted to say?
I think we're good.
Okay, I think another thing is your thoughts and your mindset are important. So, humans are creatures of reinforcement. And an example of that is if every day you came to my house and I gave you cocaine, you'd keep coming back to my house. The same thing relates to your mindset. So when you accomplish a goal, you should be grateful about it, and you should be proud of yourself, because that's reinforcing you to work towards that goal in the future. So for example, if your goal is doing 30 minutes of work every day, if you do those 30 minutes of work, you shouldn't think, oh, I'm such a loser, everyone around me can do 5 hours of work, but I can only do 30 minutes, fucking hate myself. No, you should be like, I'm proud of myself because I achieved this goal, and that will reinforce you and give you a positive mindset and help you achieve the same goal the next day, because you'll be like, all right, I got this. I did this today, and then I can do this tomorrow. And over time, you'll make slow and consistent progress, but the right mindset is important. What matters is that you are growing. You shouldn't compare yourself to others, and you should also be realistic, because that's the only way to make consistent progress.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add. I think that encapsulates it pretty well.
Okay.
I agree with everything said.
Do you have any other advice on scheduling, goal setting, and time management?
I'm not sure if I have anything to add other than, like, most things that I think are known already. Like, it's definitely important to write down, like, all the tasks that you have. Maybe even prioritize, like, which ones you need to do. But yeah, I think, consistent, like, just, like, don't have one day where you need to do, like, a ton of work. And this is very, like, do as I say, not as I do moment, because that's all I ever do. But
all right, why do you think all you ever do is work on one day instead of splitting it up like you think you should do?
I'm not really. My procrastination habits, I guess, might come from a place of pressure. Like,
is it the pressure is the only thing that gets you to do the work?
Yeah, I think under pressure, like, I don't know. My mind's it's like I don't understand, like, the weight of something until, like, it's like 5 minutes till due. I guess that's a habit I need to check. And also, I think one thing that I've started to do more is where it's like, if I have, like, a simple task, like, I need to email my counselor about something, I could easily do it right now. So just do it right now, Like, constantly I'd be like, oh, I can do that in, like, 15 minutes. Or, like, there's no reason not to do something now,
And if you can't do it now, then set a time to do it. So at least you have a plan.
Yeah.
Schedule a certain time. Don't just say, I'll do it later, because doing it later is very vague. What does that mean? You're going to do it tomorrow? You're going to do it a week from now? No, set a specific time.
Yeah, something that happened was, like, a lot of times in class, let's say you have, like, some time to do homework and people start rushing to it.
Yeah.
And, you have 5 minutes left and people still have time, so they're doing it. And for some reason, I would be like, I would never want to do that. I guess because I felt, like, stressed that, like, everyone else was kind of doing it in class. They were getting ahead. So I'd be like, oh, I'll just do it all later, Because I don't want to, like, compete almost, because it, like, stressed me out. So it's important to, like, just, like, forget about all that. If everyone else is if you have time to start something, you definitely should, regardless of how fast other people are doing it around you. And yeah, it's definitely not a healthy thing to say, like, I mean, sometimes I'm sure it's fine, but not always healthy to be like, oh, I'll do it later. Don't make that a habit, you know? That's something that I found myself doing. Like, everyone's starting the chemistry homework, like, oh, I'll just do it later. Because I don't want to be behind. But yeah.
And maybe being aware of the stress that you have surrounding your work, because I think awareness is the first step of getting rid of that stress, because you can't fight something that you're not aware of even existing. So once you're aware of it, try to take a deep breath and detach from the stress and think about the fact that it's better if you get something done now, and then when you do inevitably do a shit ton of work later, at least you'll have less to do. And the same thing happens where you should be realistic about it. So if you always find yourself doing a bunch of stuff at the last minute, try to do 5% of it before the last minute, so you only have to do 95% at the last minute or something like that.
Small progress is it's all progress, right?
I mean, over time, small progress leads to big progress.
Yeah, and I think also it's very important, I've heard this a lot, that like when you have a task, it's like, forget everything else. You're only doing like this one thing, right? So you're only focusing on that thing, I think.
Because that's basically the definition of motivation. In my view, motivation is the ability to focus on a task for an extended period of time. So if you can forget about everything else and just focus on the task you're doing, then motivation will come.
It's like pushing
something that Dr. K said, actually.
Oh, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill, you know? If you have all these things that you, like all these homework assignments that you need to do, like you're never, like the boulder's so big, you can't push it anywhere. Yeah. But if you focus on one, then you have a small rock, and maybe it's a little hard to push up, but you can still do it, and then you get rid of that one, and you can start with a new rock instead of just like the big. This is a really good metaphor.
Yeah.
The really big boulder of all the tasks.
I see what you're saying.
So yeah.
So start small, and then so I think you use your goal to figure out what actions you need to take, and then to get the motivation, you focus purely on that action, and that's why anxiety can affect motivation. I think because you're so no sorry not. The definition Dr. K gave for motivation is the ability to hold a thought in your mind for an extended period of time. And so that's the problem with anxiety, for example, with motivation or any sort of distraction. So let's say you're thinking about doing your homework, right? You have this thought, but then let's say you're anxious that... Well, what would you be anxious about? That you're ugly. Not you specifically. Yeah. Let's say someone's anxious that they're ugly, right? So you're trying to focus on doing your homework, but then this thought about being ugly bumps that out, and that comes, and then you start focusing on that, and then you start feeling bad about yourself, and then you're like, oh, what should I do about this? And then you get another thought, oh, maybe I should pull out my phone, and then I won't have to think about this, and I'll be numbed, and I won't have to think about these emotions, and I won't feel bad. And then you pull out your phone and you get distracted. So really try to keep that one thought of the work in your mind, of the specific action you're doing. See, that's another thing you can run into. If you're not aware of your thoughts, you can run into a lot of problems, because you can start doing a bit of work, and then you're focusing on that task, you're getting some work done, and then you can think, oh, but there's so much work to do, how am I ever going to complete this? That other thought comes in and bumps it out, you start feeling bad, you pull out your phone, or you get distracted. And if that other thought does bump like your focus, then be aware of it, acknowledge it, and then refocus. But if you're not aware, then you can just end up mindlessly pulling out your phone.
So what is the best way to, like, how would you get rid of like most distractions? Like, just being aware that...
Yeah, there's a few things to that. So being aware is one thing. Environment is another thing. For example, if you put your phone in a different room, if your phone tends to distract you. If you find that you can't get work done at home, but you can get work done at school, maybe stay at school another hour and do work there.
Or library.
So there's environment, there's awareness. And I'm sure there's other things that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Another thing is just breaking down big tasks into smaller and smaller and smaller steps until you find a step that you will do. For example, you can't start on a project because maybe your goal is to do 1 hour of that project, but it's just you're too pathetic to do that. Like, you gotta be realistic, right? You're too pathetic to do 1 hour, right? So then break it down into like the very first step, like fucking turning on the computer, and then you will do that, and then you do the next step.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Smaller tasks,
easier. Yeah. And then smaller tasks, break into a bunch of smaller tasks, and then just focus on those tasks. What?
I should keep it down, actually.
Oh, it's just too loud.
Yeah.
You have anything else
Do we
to
have
say?
anything? I'm like so tired, dude.
Alright, we can stop it. This is pretty good. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Alright.